The Raging Cajuns, 16 signees. That includes 4 mid-year enrollees. And you're about to hear from the man who got initials from every single one of them. He'll be the first to tell you, 52 days on the job. They had 18 spots to fill. They were able to get 16 in the bag today. And with that, our pleasure to welcome back aboard head coach Billy Napier. Coach, congratulations on your signing class. How you feel now that you've gotten through the first one?
Well, I'm proud of our staff. You know, I think a lot of time, effort, and hard work went into what we accomplished today, and certainly it's been a little bit of a blur to some degree, but I'm excited about the group of young men that chose Louisiana, and certainly having the opportunity to get to know these guys over the last couple of weeks has been an honor and my pleasure, and certainly we look forward to working with those guys and watching them grow up and develop as people and players.
You mentioned 52 days on the job. How do you do it? I mean, how do you assemble a staff, make the conscious decision not to take anyone in the early signing period, and then get to this finish line today? What type of organization did that take, and how did you have to prioritize what you've called the 30% that was left after the early signing period?
Well, I think we just one day at a time, we kind of woke up and prioritized where we were at, put a little bit of a plan together. I think you learn that you're dependent on quality people. You know, we certainly, there's a lot of people upstairs here that did a great job, but you know, you're kind of doing a little bit of both. You know, you're putting together your staff and trying to finish the class at the same time. So some of our biggest recruits were some of the coaches that we were able to sign contracts. So we've got a great team put together. This is just the beginning, and I'm excited to see what we can do going forward.
Joined by Billy Napier, first-year head coach of the Raging Cajuns. I thought something you mentioned in the press conference earlier was very interesting. Sometimes you're in a spot, especially short-term like this, where you have to lean on some junior college guys, some more grad transfers. But you want to build this program with high school talent. I'm sure Louisiana is going to be a big emphasis there, but how do you get to the point where you do that? Because now, with only 16 kids, you'll be short of that 85 number. So in time, how do you accomplish that?
Well, football is a developmental game, you know, and I think the more of a routine that you can provide a young man relative to football, college, people, relationships, I think they perform better in those situations. So we're looking for, in a perfect world, we'd sign all high school players, but each and every year we're going to, at some point during the season or training camp, we're going to assess where we are at if we take the seniors off the team. You know, and okay, hey, we got to go play next year. Where do we maybe have some deficiencies, and what do we need to go get? And that's the philosophy we've taken in the past. I saw that really work well, in particular at Alabama. So I think that will be our approach. You know, we're going to try to put together our team with high school players, but each year we're going to assess our current team that we would play with the next year and see if there's a position or two where we need to go get a plug-and-play type player.
Having said that, Coach, you did take a number of JUCO guys this year, but 3 to play 3, 4 years to play 3. How did you identify those guys, especially coming in as late in the process as you did?
Well, 2 in particular are mid-year enrollees. You know, and they're guys that are really 3.5 to some degree. So that's a big deal. You know, the fact that we get to get those guys on campus immediately, they can start working with the strength staff, the nutrition staff. They can make progress toward their degree. They can earn their stripes to some degree with the rest of the team. We get to implement our systems and teach them and coach them in spring practice. So those are big advantages.
And those 2, to be clear, Johnny Lumpkin, tight end?
Lumpkin and Lorenzo McCaskill, and they both were positions where we felt like maybe we were a little bit thin. Lorenzo being a linebacker, and obviously Johnny being a big tight end that can play in the C area. So, you know, and Chauncey Manak is the other young man who we had great relationships with on our staff from his past experience at Georgia, and him being a 3-4-3 guy that will graduate in May and be here the entire summer. So I think those are the best case scenarios when you start talking about JC players, guys that you can get in the building and kind of put your stamp on them to some degree so that they understand your culture and how you're going to go about your business.
Got a few more minutes with Billy Napier. We are live inside the Moncla Indoor Practice Facility. I'll dive a little more into this class, but big picture, you said something else in there that kind of perked my ears up. You compared recruiting to outside sales. and that's a realm in which I have experience. I would agree, having covered recruiting as well, it's a cutthroat industry. So the lessons you've taken over time that'll serve you and this staff well here.
Well, it's about relationships. You know, you really want to kind of start from the very beginning and establish with the people you come in contact that you're going to operate with integrity. You got to establish trust, and you got to recruit the entire group of people around the young man and really get to know them and make sure that they understand what you're about and how your program's going to be run. So, you know, just like anything in life, you know, it's about people. I firmly believe life's about people. I believe football is a game that reflects that. It's lots of people are involved, and certainly it's a game where life lessons are taught that can prepare you for what's in front of you. But I think just a sincerity, being genuine, being authentic in your approach, and then being consistent to some degree is important. Like I say, if you never lie, you don't have to remember what you said, you know, to some degree. But you know, I've had success doing it for a long time, and I love it. It's like going back and playing again. It's a season within itself. So I'm excited about what we can do here, you know, in the future, especially with the type of team that we put together. You know, not only the full-time coaches, but the recruiting staff, the strength and conditioning staff, and even the second tier of the organization. So we've got a good group of people, and that's what it takes.
Of the 16 that you're bringing on today, 4 linebackers, some inside, some out, 3 defensive linemen, 3 offensive linemen. You obviously identified those as areas where you need to fortify, short-term and long-term. Would you grade yourself out as having achieved that?
Yeah, I think so. You know, and you never know. I mean, heck, some of the guys that you think maybe are ready to play won't be, and some of the ones you think are developmental players will be ready to go. So it's going to be obviously up to those guys, you know, in their preparation and what they do with each day going forward. You know, if they wake up and attack the day and really get the most of their opportunities between now and when they report. And certainly once they get here, you know, their habits, their choices, their decisions will reflect that. So we're going to be clean slate, man. This group of players that we have, we're going to give them an opportunity to kind of create a new name for themselves, start in a fair place, and then, like I say, hey, don't tell me about it, show me. You know, and hopefully these young men will be able to be productive and contributors in the future.
You mentioned that you wanted to, if you can, build this program off of high school players. Do you default naturally to we'd like to get them a red shirt if possible? That's kind of the way things were done under previous administration, but I'd point to a guy like Trey Reyes. Certainly returns as one of the best players in your team as a redshirt sophomore this year. He did take that red shirt. Maybe he could have helped that year, maybe not, but how do you kind of look at that as you take over this program? High school players coming in, would you like them to sit and wait, or would you like them, if they're ready, to go after it?
I don't think you necessarily need a general philosophy when it comes to that. You know, I think each individual player relative to the depth of his position, you know, and the amount of contribution I think you can get from a guy. Whereas that's probably the biggest decision is, okay, how many snaps is a guy really going to play? You know, and each one of them are different, you know, and I think you got to make those decisions independent of a general philosophy. You got to do what's best for the team relative to what's best for the young man in his situation. So we're just going to evaluate all those things and do what we think is right and try to make a good decision for the entire group, and also take into consideration what impact that would have on the kid.
At the quarterback spot, 6 players that return as scholarship guys. You didn't take one this year. You do have 2 that are coming back as seniors, Nunez and Davis. So in an ideal world, what would you like to do at that position for 2019?
Well, in a perfect world, we take a quarterback every year. You know, I think I'll know more once we kind of get our hands on the players and we start throwing the ball around a little bit. You know, and certainly what I've learned so far is that I think we've got a pretty stand-up group in that room. I think those guys are wired the right way. I've liked what I've seen so far in terms of how they work, having met with each one of them individually. I think, but you know, I think they're excited about the competition going forward. And for me, I'm just looking forward to coaching the guys that we have. We'll assess kind of where we're at after spring ball and kind of put our numbers where we think we need to be.
Coach, there's some people that for them this is way too technical, but if you really follow college football, I think it's just paramount. Discussed it with Nico Yanko earlier today. The fact that you have so many quality control assistants and what that allows your staff to be able to do in terms of monitoring the guys that are here and being out on the road. So that's not exactly common at the Sun Belt area. When you reflect on that, what type of advantage does it give your program?
Well, I think it's something I've observed, you know, and I think it's invaluable. You know, I think it really having a quality second tier of the organization allows you as a head coach. I think it prevents attrition from, you know, being a grenade that gets thrown in the middle of your program. You know, you got enough people around that understand what the expectations are. You know, if you do lose an assistant here or there, I also think that it benefits the player. You know, I think there's more resources for the current team. I think that it increases the quality of life for the full-time coaches relative to being able to delegate some things that are minimal. And also, you'd be surprised what young people know out there and what they can contribute to your team. So, you know, I firmly believe in that infrastructure and the value of that. And the administration here was smart enough to see that, understand that, and give us that opportunity. And I think we've done it in a really cost-effective way that can help us sustain as we go forward.
The biggest things that you can do as we wrap up now with Billy Napier, between now and the time that spring football begins, as you get your program in place, what are some of those things?
Well, we're getting ready to start the second phase of our off-season program, which is really a 4-week program that we call Identity Program. And really that's what we're trying to do. This will be, we'll come back off a Mardi Gras break, and on Thursday, February 15th, we'll have our first off-season program session. That's called Identity Program, and that's the objective of that phase, is to really see what these young people are about, what they're willing to do, and kind of lay a, you know, form a little bit of an identity as we prepare for spring practice. So our focus will be that relative to our football team. You know, that's a point in time where about halfway through that program we start implementing football. We start introducing concepts, we start really detailing up fundamentals. And then relative to recruiting, we kind of start that preview stage where the 19 class is in full force, and we start evaluating that pool of players in our 6-hour radius that we're going to focus on. So we got a good plan, and I think we've got good people to execute that plan. And I'm looking forward to, you know, the festivities tonight, celebrate a little bit, take a little Mardi Gras break, couple parades, and let's get back to work and go do some football for once.
Coach, this was really cool. Not only the interview, but being here all day long. We appreciate you and the hospitality. And look, you mentioned Mardi Gras. Do you get up on any floats? Are you the king of any parades yet?
Yeah, man, 2 of them. They've recruited me to I guess it's called the Grand Marshal or what. I'm not exactly sure, but I'm excited. One of them, we get to bring Annie Jo with us, so Annie Jo will be in full effect. You know, but yeah, we're excited to take part in the festivities. Certainly look forward to that. I think on the 10th and maybe the 13th. So 1 in the a.m., 1 in the p.m., and hopefully I'll survive that. We'll see.
Brother, they're going to load you down with beads. Just watch out for the throw and shoulder, and sometimes they'll throw them back at you. So just offense, defense, the whole thing. You know how it goes.
Right. Yeah, we're looking forward to it.
Billy Napier, we appreciate the time. Congrats again on the first class.
All right, guys. Thank you. Appreciate it.
We got to run into our first break. We'll come back, take your phone calls. We'll get a little bit of the LSU flair as well, 4:30 with Sunny Ship, go247.com. This is a special edition of Bumper to Bumper Sports, powered by Today's Eye Care, Billy's Boudin and Cracklins, Pokey's Poorhouse in Karen Crow, personal injury attorney Blaine Barrio, and Adam Andrews of Katy Real Estate. Coming right back in, this is B2BS on 103.7 The Game.